Going to call the meeting to order, January 11th, 2011, 7 o'clock. Going to rise for a moment of silence for Alicia Rosemary Tatry. And we're going to have Kathy Tatry lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Each year, the council nominates and votes upon itself Citizen of the Year. And it's shared between a male and female. And this year we have two outstanding individuals who are going to share that title. I'm going to do the male. I'm going to have Kathy follow up by doing the female. If I could have Edward Thiebert step forward to the podium. Dedication is certainly a word that comes to mind when we think about Ed. A jack of all trades, certainly. A revered preservationist, former politician. So here, without further ado, Town of Warren, recognition by the Town Council, 2010 Citizen of the Year, Edward J. Thiebage. Whereas Edward J. Thiebage is at the forefront in the campaign to save and restore the Warren Auxiliary Armory on Jefferson Street, a member of the Warren Historical Armory, Inc. Board of Directors. He serves as its secretary. Whereas a longtime Warren resident, the former counselor and trustee of the George Hale Library, Mr. Thiebage is currently vice chairman and is a founding member of the Warren Historic District Committee. He also serves as the former Warren Waterfront Committee. Whereas, in addition to his tireless efforts on behalf of the Armory, Edward J. Thiebage's passion for preservation and restoration has extended to the refurbishment of historic cannons, the Tante and the Palace, the Baker Street Federal Blues Carriage Barn on Maxwell House. Therefore, it is with gratitude and appreciation that the members of the Town Council recognize Ed J. Thiebage as the 2010 Citizen of the Year and congratulate him on behalf of all Warren citizens. Approved this 11th day of January 2011, David S. Farage, Council President. Congratulations.
Surprise.
I'm not usually at a loss for words, but I am today. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to work with so many people over the years. And, although not born in Warren, I consider myself a Warren. I love the town, and the best thing is I love the opportunity of working with so many nice people in this community. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, it's my pleasure to be able to announce the Female Citizen of the Year for 2010. Melissa Maya, if you could step up with me, please. For those of you that don't know Melissa, if you have students at Hugh Cole School, you would definitely be familiar with her, as she is a force of nature and someone to be reckoned with when something needs to get done. So without further ado, the Town of Warren, recognition by the Town Council, 2010 Citizen of the Year, Melissa Maya. Whereas Melissa Maya has been instrumental in the establishment of the first ever Warren Community Garden and was recently appointed Community Garden Coordinator. Whereas in her efforts to make the town garden a success, Melissa Maya secured the services of an artist, sold planting pots, produced advertising posters, constructed compost bins, and encouraged local Girl Scouts to cultivate their patch with outstanding results. A URI certified composter, Melissa Maya obtained grant money to create the Hugh Cole Elementary School Giving Garden and then initiated the composting of school waste to ensure the garden's success. She is Vice President of the Bristol-Warren Regional School Parent-Teachers Organization and a member of the school district's Wellness Committee. Therefore, it is with gratitude and appreciation that the members of the Warren Town Council recognize Melissa Maya as 2010 Citizen of the Year and congratulate her on behalf of all Warren citizens. Approved this day, this 11th day of January, 2011.
I honestly am so surprised by this. We just came out to come to the town council meeting and give my son a civics lesson. I can't believe this. I couldn't have accomplished anything without the support of people on the town council like Kathy, Caroline Wells, the Hugh Cole PTO, the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, the Girl Scouts. The list goes on and on of people who really helped put this together. 700 pounds of food were grown by the students at Hugh Cole and the Girl Scouts, and that's my proudest accomplishment. And Ellie, you were one of the students that worked in the garden, and it's great to see day to day the kids come up to me and say, hey, I started gardening at home, and I started composting at home, and that's really, you know, this is the frosting on the cake, but it's really seeing the kids and knowing that we're changing lives. Thank you so, so much, everyone. Thank you.
One little quick announcement, there's going to be a parking ban at 9 o'clock because of the snow. So we're going to move this along as fast as possible. And we're going to take a 10-minute recess, a little break for refreshments in celebration of their accomplishments. We'll come back, approve the consent agenda, and carry on with town business. Thank you. Right now. As soon as Davison has a seat, he's here.
Are we going to be dialing in on?
Going to need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Bolster,
Second.
second by Ms. Catry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, anybody opposed? Ayes carried. We have a brief presentation by Braver PC representatives to the financial audit. You can step up to the podium.
Thank you.
Can I ask that you keep it within 5 minutes?
Absolutely. Thanks, absolutely. Thanks for inviting us here tonight. My name is Jim Wilkinson. I'm a partner with Braver PC. We've completed the audit of the town's financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2010. We did prepare a brief outline to guide the presentation. We will be brief. Some highlights from the audit: the general fund results. Total fund balance increased by a little better than $380,000 for the year. The undesignated fund balance increased by a little better than $1.9 million for the year. I believe when we discussed last year, there was a decrease in the fund balance because there was some bonding that was delayed from the previous fiscal year to this year. That's been restored at this point. That undesignated fund balance in the general fund represents roughly 15% of the operating budget, which is on the very healthy side of things. No concerns with the town's health or its working capital or its financial condition moving forward. In the handout, there is a chart of the fund balance for the past 10 years. That blue line, again, showing the undesignated portion. You can see the little blip in 2009, again, being restored back to its traditional levels at the end of this fiscal year. Results of operations, actual revenues exceeded the budget by about $573,000 for the year. And again, the tax collection percentage was consistent with the outstanding results in the past few years. On the next page of the outline, you can see a chart of those results. Again, the past 6 years, or 7 years, the tax collection is being better than 98% of the levy. Again, outstanding results. Expenditures for non-capital items are under budget by a little better than $492,000. There were some over-expenditures at the departmental level, but they were not systemic weaknesses. They were results of specific circumstances. Let's see. We are in the process of finalizing our management letter of observations and recommendations. There's one recommendation dealing with strengthening cash disbursements and approvals for one department. Also a comment regarding the implementation of GASB Statement 54, which will redefine fund balance for governmental funds moving forward. We'll discuss that with management, and that'll be implemented during next year's financial statement audit. We've also presented a letter, required communication to those charged with governance, specifically the town council, which we really regard as our grade report on the audit. If there were any findings, any delays, any material weaknesses, any opinion shopping issues, and the like, we'd be required to report them to you. The letter was a clean report. There were no delays. Again, the report was completed timely in accordance with the state's deadline for submission of audit reports. The comprehensive annual financial report did receive the GFOA's Certificate of Achievement for Achievement in Financial Reporting last year. This report is being submitted to the program again. We're optimistic that it will be awarded again this year. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Time frame for the management letter?
I would say within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, you're all set. Nice job.
Thank you.
Next, we have appointments. Bristol Warren School Joint Finance. There are 3 positions available. They are traditionally held by the manager, the council president, and somebody of the council's pleasure. Does anybody have any recommendations? Kathy would like to stay on.
I make a motion to appoint Kathy Tatry.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Bolzer, a second by Mr. Lyle. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposed, motion carries. Well, at least it's with 2 positions still.
Yeah, but one is automatically with the council president, isn't it?
We need to make
It still has to be official.
Yeah.
I make a motion we reappoint Dave Ferricks and town manager.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Any nays? Okay. Motion carries. Next appointment is Bristol County Water Authority. It's a 3-year term. John M. Janetto, 37 Hope Street, currently holds that post, wishes to continue. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed. Aye.
We have a 2-2 vote. Tony?
We have discussion on this as well, or?
Yeah. We're going to see how we
Tony?
proceed first legally.
Well, the motion fails. Thus, there's no reappointment at this meeting. My understanding of the structure is, as with all of your appointments, Mr. Janetto will continue on until a successor is appointed. So I'm assuming that you will set the matter down next month.
So should I make a motion to re-advertise?
You may. Now, and by the way, I have to ask a question. This was a reappointment. Was there any, was there an advertisement for this position in the first place? Okay. So your motion is to advertise.
I would make a motion to advertise.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Bolster. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing no nays, the motion carries. Next up, interviews for the Assistant Harbor Master position. There's 1 position available and 3 applicants. First up, Dean Ellison of 40 Overhill
Sorry,
Road.
there's no discussion on that matter, or?
Well, if you want to discuss, we can have it.
I'd like to make a few points if I could.
1 second, Mr.
Sorry. You know, for the better part of the last year, we've asked for a lot of information from the Water Authority. I think the board has been elusive at best, diversionary in many of their tactics, and Mr. Janelle is the chairman of the board, and our only opportunity for change right now is to change the leadership. And I don't know about the remainder of the council members, but my constituents and those folks who voted for me in this town had one hot topic issue for the last year, and that was the water authority. I think it's my duty to do due diligence and try to find at least some change in the leadership of the water authority. And that was the premise behind my desire to have it re-advertised.
Thank you, and I concur. Okay.
Thank you for the time.
Oh, no, sir. All right, Mr. Ellison.
Hello,
Good evening. State your name and
Oh.
residence for the record.
name is Dean Eliason, live at 40 Oakville Road, Warren, Rhode Island. Applying for assistant harbor master.
We'll open up to the council for questions. I'll start with you, Dave.
I understand that you've actually been serving in this position for the past year as a volunteer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, the first thing I'd like to do is say thank you for the town of Warren, because this town, without volunteers, would fall apart. So thank you for your service.
My pleasure, actually.
Kathy? What?
You're asking for a reappointment, then? I was not aware
No.
that this was a reappointment.
No, he's been volunteering, that's all. What do you bring to this position that makes you feel that you want to apply for it?
Well, I have the fundamentals of boating. I think I have the right attitude for the job in terms of temperament. And I feel that it's really my way of appreciating what the town offers my family, my way of memories. We love this town, and it's my way of being involved.
Are you up to snuff on all of the various computer aspects of the job?
Yes, as, my full-time job is I'm a national director of purchasing for senior housing. And it being home-based, I'm familiar with several software packages and automated and IT, of course. So, yes, I believe I can do the necessary clerical activity it's going to take to do the job, which there are a lot of clerical activities.
I understand that's the bulk of the job.
And it's not floating around the bay, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Kathy?
I guess I'm a little confused, because if this is an appointed position and you have been serving in this position, but you're not asking for reappointment because you were just doing it without being appointed.
I guess it's a transition from being a volunteer. And as a volunteer, once an opening comes up that you've been volunteering for, you then, I guess, are afforded the opportunity to step in and become non-volunteer, but certainly on the payroll, if you will. Sort of becoming unofficial, transitioning to becoming official, as I see it.
Do we have other, where's Matt? Oh, sorry. Do we have other people that are also volunteering that are not appointed?
We have one more. And they fill in the gaps. They learn the job. And this was the train of thought when we discussed this last year. When I was given permission to involve volunteers into the office. And once they were up to speed, or we had some of these positions that these volunteers would be for us, especially in the storm in the van. These guys would come in, we'd be able to get them inside. We're here on the side. The thought was, with the volunteers, when we discussed it last year, was that if there was a vacancy, that these people would be ready and up to speed and trained. And, both volunteers right now have gone to the Harbor Masters Training Academy, which is a 20-hour program down in South County. So, they're up to speed, and if we have vacancies, they fill in. And
Who's the other
volunteer they
volunteer?
find.
Who's the other volunteer?
Bill
in it?
Smith.
Will Smith?
Yeah, he owns a company in town on Medicom.
Mr. Lyle, any questions?
Yeah, I mean, the resume seems to speak for itself as far as comfort in and around the water. He has you down as a reference, Matt. Can you speak to his readiness to serve?
Yeah, I mean, he's,
That's just the harbor master?
he knows the water. He's completed the course at the Harbor Masters training. What else? I mean, we've gone through it, all the aspects of the office. I think you need a little practice on the mooring software stuff, but, that's just a matter of time.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
But my only question would be availability during the day, weekends, emergency or crisis situation.
Well, that's a advantage of being home-based. Whereas my company is home-based in Tucson, and I've discussed this with my CEO, and he knows I love to do this, and I enjoy it thoroughly. And my CEO is rather tickled pink, coming from Tucson, of course, that one of his employees are going to be assistant harbor master. So it affords me to work whatever hours I feel. In terms, if I want to work from 8 to 11, I can. If I want to go in the office during the week from 9 to 12, in winter he's not even up. So the schedule certainly accommodates.
So he thinks he's getting free fish, is that it?
Yeah, free lobster.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next applicant is Mark E. Windsor, 20 Broad Street.
Good
Okay,
evening.
Mr. Windsor.
Mark Windsor, 20 Broad Street. Been a resident of Warren for approximately 5 years. I saw the ad in the paper a couple of weeks ago and thought I'd apply. I have a resume if...
Sure.
I'd like to share.
Okay, Davidson, any questions?
What do you bring to the position that makes you want to apply for it?
I've always had a love of being on the water. I've spent a good portion of my life on the water. I currently hold a 100-ton captain's license, so I have a fair amount of experience in that regard. Included in the captain's license is what they call a TWIC card, Transportation Workers Identification Card, which means I've been quarried, I've been drug tested and all that stuff. Also have first aid and CPR.
Have you spent any time volunteering with the harbor master, working with him?
As I said, I just saw the ad in the paper,
Okay.
but I do have a lot of water experience and computer experience as well.
Okay, thank you.
I guess my only question was, how familiar are you with our harbor?
Very familiar. I have several boats that I've had in and out of the water. I've fished Narragansett Bay for many, many years. I have a brother in Little Compton. I have another brother in Middletown, and we fish from one end to the other. I've sailed. I've owned sailboats. So.
Thank you.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Once again, the only question would be availability.
I'm currently a grad student, so I'm taking most of my classes online, so I'm around and available.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have George Gemp, 60 Plumer Avenue.
George Gemp, I've lived in town of Warren all my life. I've been on the water all my time that I've been around in this world. I do hold a 100-ton captain's license. I do have a TWIC card. I also have a CPR and first aid qualified. And I also have done some long boat deliveries through Gulf Marine. If you look at my resume on the application, we just did a couple not too long ago. Right now, I'm on the Harbor Commission. I was on the Harbor Commission about 10 years ago, and at the time, we were able to purchase a pump-out boat and I was also with the commission, we were able to get the back part of the old rescue station for the harbor master's office, because up until that point in time, the harbor master had no office to work out of. He had a little cubby hole in the back over here. So we've come a long way as far as the harbor commission, getting things for the harbor master to do. I feel that I volunteered on the harbor commission once. I got off and I got back on again, and I feel that I probably help Matt with all the state. I'm available 24 hours a day. I'm a retired person, so I'm available anytime they want me. And this is what I wanted. That's why I applied for the job, because I think I'm qualified to do that position. I have a little experience in computers and stuff. I don't have a lot, but I have a little bit. So, anybody ask any questions, I'm available for questions.
Well, I would have asked you what you bring to the table, but I think you've
I told you.
pretty well answered it. Thank you.
Right.
Kathy?
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Mr. Lyle?
Just because it's come twice in a row now, could you describe the responsibility of a 100-ton license, just to educate?
A 100-ton license, I'm able to carry passengers up to 100 tons on any size boat. It comes up to 100 tons.
So Bay Queen is...
Bay Queen, the Harbor Queen,
Yeah.
believe it or not, the ferries that run out of interstate down in Point Judith, those are all under 100 ton. I can go down and get on one of those boats and run that. And I also have my radio license too, which you have to have when you have a 100-ton license. It's mandatory. So and I also have my TWIC card.
So the Harbor Patrol boat and pump-out boat are definitely within your...
And I also, let me just say one more thing. I'm also in charge of the fire department rescue boat too.
Yeah.
The chief gave me that responsibility to take care of that boat. So I am familiar with boating.
Thank you.
You already answered the question about availability, so...
Okay.
Okay, thanks. What is the council's pleasure?
Probably good applicants.
Yeah. I make a motion to appoint George Kemp.
I'm going to second that motion. Any discussion? Okay, vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
I have 1 nay and 3 yeses, so the motion carries, and George Kemp is appointed.
I have one question for the council listener. Is it possible that I can still stay on the harbor commission as far as being assistant harbor master?
I don't think so.
One's a paid position and one's...
No,
No? Okay.
not if it's paid.
Okay, so I put it in the reservation. I put it in there. If I had to give up, I would have to do that. All right,
Thank you, George.
So should we make a motion to advertise for...
Position.
We're going to have to accept his resignation first, aren't we?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
Just like you got elected before you resigned.
Good point. I make a motion...
We can do it concurrently.
Make a motion, we advertise.
I have a motion to advertise. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
By appointing you, you effectively accepted the resignation, because as Mr. Kemp has pointed out, it was on his application.
That's what Kathy just told me.
We'll still need a letter for the file. Thank you.
I just want to thank the council for appointing me to the assistant harbor master.
You're welcome.
I'll have a letter for you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the Economic Development Board. There's 2 positions. We actually have 2 applicants. One, Darcy DaCosta, was inadvertently left off.
What about Matt?
We got a third.
Yeah, he was on the last.
Oh, yeah.
He's carried
And
over as well.
I believe it's Matt Hozempa. We had 2 individuals who applied previously, and they're folded into the interview process. So first we'll call Priscilla A., hopefully I pronounced this right, Galligan Tremblay, 28 Miller. Good evening.
Hi.
State your name, address, and give us a little brief
Priscilla
overview.
Tremblay, 28 Miller Street, Warren, Rhode Island.
And what is your interest?
My interest is being on the Economic Development Board. I had experience in the Peace Corps, the Domestic Peace Corps, which is AmeriCorps. And what they do is they go into inner cities and help them restructure activities such as Habitat for Humanity or different reading organizations and fund those organizations within either empty structures. And that's my interest, to come and do that here in Warren, not through the Peace Corps, but with the AmeriCorps, and possibly work with the Tourister building, the officials that own the Tourister, and incorporate a number of programs that would benefit Warren and the community, the arts community.
Davison, any questions?
Can you describe your background as to how that applies to what you want to do on the board?
My background, technically when I worked at the AmeriCorps Foundation, I researched grants, found grants that were available, financing to acquire buildings, and also financing to have those programs sustained. If we had AmeriCorps here, we could bring in $500,000 in 5 years, plus match all of that money with other grants that I did find recently.
Thank you.
Kathy?
No questions right now.
Scott?
Could you briefly describe your vision for economic development in the town of Warren?
I know that when Senator Chafee was elected, he was elected primarily on the fact that we have over 18,000 square feet of availability in empty building space in Rhode Island. A lot of that we have in Warren. We have approximately 18 buildings that could be put to public domain use. I know it's been talked about before, but there is an interest for AS 220 to have a co-development center here at the Tourister building. There's interest with a national organic market to possibly acquire a building on Main Street, and there's 2 other organizations I've been in contact with to primarily find financing for them, and there's no percentage that goes to me. It would be totally on a volunteer basis.
Good grasp of the numbers. Do you have any idea what the square footage is in Warren? You said it was 18,000.
I don't know off the top of my head. Just remember the different buildings that I talked to Alan Christman about.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question now. What is it that AmeriCorps could bring to Warren? You said $500,000, but what?
The deadline for that grant is January 25th. What it does is allows $500,000 to be appropriated to the town, and they work with AmeriCorps. Instead of me going to Peru and redeveloping, some sort of small town over there, I would prefer to work with them to try to get the money over to Warren in redevelopment of the different empty buildings that we have and different programs that the town may be interested in.
Any further questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Darcy DaCosta, 19 Washington Street.
Hello.
Hello.
Darcy DaCosta. How are you?
Very good.
Apologies for missing last month's meeting when I was first on the agenda. I was called out of town unexpectedly, but I am eager to get a little bit more involved in the community, and I think the Economic Development Board is a nice fit in regards to what the stated mission of the board is, and some of my work experiences working for a local technology company. I'm employed by G-Tech Corporation, and in that role, I'm a senior account director, so I represent us in a handful, approximately a dozen states around the country. And part of that role is when we are looking to site ourselves in a new jurisdiction, if we've acquired a contract and have to open an office, I'm very often part of the team that helps decide where that office is going to be. So I have some understanding from a business perspective what businesses are looking for when they're looking to locate. Some of those things are things you can affect through the hands of government. Some are privately driven, but I think the effort on the part of the council to want a mix of advisors to help point the town in the right direction is a wonderful step, and I like to be a part of it. I am a lifelong resident of Warren, but for 2 years when I moved away for professional reasons, but when the opportunity came back to come back to Rhode Island presented itself, I chose to just come right back to Warren.
Davis, any questions?
You moved away from Warren?
Very briefly. It was hard. It was hard.
No questions.
Kathy?
When you go into another community and try and decide if that's the best place to set up a office for your company, what types of things do you look for in those communities?
Cost is always an important factor, square footage, proximity to public transportation, because oftentimes we have a very mixed workforce usually, a mix of roles and responsibilities, so easy access to public transportation is important. A good infrastructure, close to highways, good roads, good bridges, amenities, and quality of life issues for either the people that will be hiring in or people that will be relocating from GTEC, wherever they might be around the country or the world, and where they're close proximity to nice places to live and educate their children and spend time outside of the home.
Thank you.
You mentioned identifying what incoming businesses are looking for when choosing a location. What do you think has been the largest lacking area in the town of Warren in that category? Because clearly right now we're facing a lot of empty storefronts and need for improved business development in the town of Warren.
I think that's true of a lot of communities. I don't think Warren's alone in empty storefronts right now. One of the things a town looks to is a good, I had said infrastructure, but for a good governmental environment. Whenever I go into one of these communities with a real estate agent and we're going from town to town or building to building, we always ask what permitting processes are like, how easy is it to do business, what are the tax structures, things like that. So when I noticed in the the first report of the Economic Development Board, there is already efforts underway to try and streamline those types of processes here in Warren and make it easier for businesses. But that's one, just a very elemental thing that can be detrimental. And the other thing perhaps is available infrastructure. Sometimes you'll be of a mind where you want to go into an existing property that needs to be rehabbed, and sometimes you like to start from the ground up. But either way, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of investment that companies are making, and they want to know that the governments and the officials that they're going to be working with are appropriate partners in that process.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Matt Hozempa. Is Mr. Hozempa here? No. Okay.
I make a motion we appoint Darcy DaCosta and Priscilla Galligan to the Economic Development Board.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Lyle and a second by Ms. Tatry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Congratulations and good luck.
Next, we have a zoning board. There's one alternate position available. We have 4 candidates. Andrew J. Ellis of 31 Liberty.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Andrew Ellis of 31 Liberty Street. I'm an architect, and I've lived in Warren for approximately 10 years, and I'm seeking a position as alternate on the zoning board.
Anybody have any questions?
Could you tell us how your background lends to your potential position on the zoning board?
Yes, certainly. I currently work at the firm of Urban Design Group, located in Bristol, and that is an architecture, landscape architecture, and urban planning firm. I'm a project manager there and worked on numerous development projects, community planning projects. We've done work rewriting and adapting zoning ordinances recently in Charlestown and Richmond. I'm also the code compliance officer for our office and do all of the building, fire, zoning, accessibility code analysis on any projects, and I'm familiar with the process of zoning applications and appeals, and have appeared before various zoning boards throughout the state to promote the projects my firm has worked on.
Thank you.
Kathy?
No, I think your resume pretty much speaks for itself.
Are you aware that the Urban Design Group about 8 or 10 years ago did a plan for Warren's waterfront?
Yes, I am. I was not with them at that time. But I'm aware of the plan.
Well, it was a
I do have one comment. You clearly have an understanding of zoning and how it's applied in different communities. What is your comfort level, despite the grandiose reputation the zoning members seem to have in the community, that it is pretty cut and dry? Level of interpretation is pretty light.
I don't know that it's necessarily all cut and dried. I think there could be, certainly in my profession as an architect, we have to think creatively and look at things acting within the scope of the law and respecting what the ordinance states, but certainly also being willing to consider the applicant's point of view and also the point of view of those abutting the applicant who may express different opinions, and certainly taking that all into account and making sure that that is carried out in harmony with what the intent of the ordinance is.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay.
Thank you.
I believe the other three candidates, Dennis Cemento, Richard Silver, and Barbara Davis, have all applied and been interviewed last month, so we don't have to go through that process again.
Okay. I make a motion we appoint Andrew Ellis to the zoning board as an alternate member.
Motion from Mr. Lyle.
Second?
Second from Mr. Bolster. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
We have 3 yeses and 1 opposition. Motion carries.
Good luck. Whoever it is. Good luck, Andrew.
Need a motion to accept the executive minutes for December 14th, 2010.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Those down. Need a motion to accept the minutes for December 14th, 2010.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Ms. Tatry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. '01, second reading, wastewater management ordinance, continued from February 8th, 2011, town council meeting. Mr. Manager?
Continue that, Mr. Stanley, to next week. We are still working on the financial aspects of that and how it would affect the various, both the people in the wastewater district and those without it, so.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
We have a question. In some of the notes that we received as to what's been going on with the wastewater management ordinance, it was stated that they met with residents in the wastewater management. Is anyone being contacted outside of Tawisset that are going to have to be under these regulations as well?
I don't believe we have. I think we've concentrated specifically on Tawisset, because that's where the majority of the people are.
I just think there's a whole other section of town that's kind of not even aware that this might be going on. I don't know if it wouldn't behoove us to maybe at least let them know that there's going to be some new regulations that they may think only applies to the waterfront. Well, just at least notify them that if they don't have sewer hookups, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out in my section of town that don't even know that this is going on because they all think it's about the well in Tawisset, and it's really not. It's also about their area.
Can
Somehow notify them.
Can we contact the other areas of town that are non-sewered?
No, we have a list of the properties, and we can contact them, we'll send out a notification to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Davis, you want to put that in the form of a motion with
I will
continuance?
put that in the form of a motion to continue this and also notify all unsewered areas of town.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any discussion? Okay, ayes have it. Now we go into a public hearing. PH1, request renewal of Class BV beverage victualling license from New San Restaurant Limited, doing business as the Wharf Tavern, 215 Water Street, Warren, Rhode Island. The applicant, petitioner here.
Is anyone here from the Wharf Tavern? Should we table this?
I'm actually going to suggest that you continue it for 1 month, because skipping ahead to the companion PH2 and discussing the matter with the chief of police, there was insufficient evidence that was furnished by the applicant in order for the police department to carry out their functions for these type of public hearings. You might as well continue the whole thing for 1 month.
Make a motion to continue PH1.
Second. All in favor?
I think we heard you.
All right.
Did you hear that again?
No, but PH2 also.
And PH2. I make a motion to continue PH1 and PH2 for 1 month.
We have a motion.
No second?
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, motion carries. So PH1 and PH2. PH3, request for a BV liquor, victualling, and entertainment license, Child Street Pub, Inc., doing business as Samantha's Pizza and Pub, 13 Child Street. Is the petitioner here?
No.
Good evening.
My name is Kevin Salvaggio, I'm an attorney. This is my client, and she is applying for the application. She's complied with all the notice requirements that I'm aware of. Oh, I'm sorry.
Might want to switch spots.
Is it on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She has already complied with all of the notice applications that I'm aware of. She has approval from most of the authorities needed. The only thing we're waiting for is Department of Health. They have to do a spot check, and I'm told that's going to be done by the end of the week. The kitchen has been upgraded, but no major changes have been done. She has put about $80,000 into the renovation of the old Samantha's Pizza, and she's ready for questions, or she has a brief statement if you like. And I'm not sure if there's anyone here to contest it or not.
We'll find that out.
You have a brief statement yourself?
Again, my name is Carrie Plulak. I'm from a small town called Tillington, Connecticut. I started off food beverage career in a local ice cream parlor back in home. And then I came to school here at Johnson & Wales and realized that I really did want to concentrate in the restaurant business area in my career. I was in the hospitality college, and during college I worked at Uno's Pizzeria on the Providence Place Mall. I worked at the marketing area of that, also bartending and waitressing. Worked there for a couple of years, and I've always been interested in the way a business is run, what makes it tick, how a manager employs properly. I've learned this from my dad, who owns his own business, who has actually been my mentor for me for many years and kind of taught me how to officially run a business, and he's helping me out with this one as well. I went to school in Providence, so I didn't really know that much about Rhode Island. I'm a new resident here, and being in Warren, I fell in love with the town. I think it's really beautiful. I enjoy being around here. I liked everything so much about it. Local businesses, I think, help out the towns in so many ways. We pay the taxes to the state and the town, which helps us out in the community to provide jobs to local residents, and they provide a safe environment to everybody that comes here. At Samantha's, that is exactly what I aim to do. We want to be Warren's local place to go during major sporting events, before or after town-sponsored events, or just for an average nightly outing. I had the opportunity to make a living here in the town of Warren, and I'm very excited to do so. This is, to me, sums up what I've been wanting to do for many years, and I'm truly looking forward to the opportunity to open up Samantha's.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
I'm curious, not a whole lot was done, but $80,000 was spent. What precisely was done in the period of time in between closing and reopening?
As far as the kitchen, I was talking about for the Department of Health requirements.
Yeah.
But they are redoing new floors, all kinds of new equipment coming in. They did some work at the bar, just kind of
My misunderstanding.
making my mistake, actually.
Facelift.
Yeah.
Facelift, exactly.
Chief, any outstanding issues?
we don't have any outstanding issues with them. I would have a question that we need to answer from the council. Is the entertainment license you're seeking going to be a continuation of the existing one with the same type of entertainment you're asking for? The whatever,
Yep.
small band type of...
Small band, nothing
stuff?
big.
Karaoke, that type of stuff?
Mhm.
No large bands, nothing of that nature?
Yes.
I have no objection to the request.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Any comment from the public?
The papers that I put in front of you earlier, there was a letter in there.
Yeah.
From the butter.
We do have one objection for request of the liquor license and entertainment license. Dear Sir, Madams of Warrentown Council, we are unable to attend the Tuesday, January 11th, 2011 Town Council meeting due to a prior obligation which we are unable to reschedule. We welcome the new business establishment with a beer and wine license. We object to the full BV license, entertainment license, for the following reasons. Our residence home is located directly east of the pub. We have had past experiences from previous bars residing in the location, such as public lewdness, public urination, rowdy behavior, fights, destruction of property, littering, and loitering in the wee hours of the morning, as well as drug activity. We also have tenants that domicile on the first floor of our residence. According to the Rhode Island tenant landlord rules, landlords must provide their tenants with quiet enjoyment as specified in the lease. In closing, we think a nightclub atmosphere is inappropriate in a residential area. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully yours, Mr. and Mrs. Frank Lewis Sr., 37 Child Street.
Chief, can you just comment, any of that stuff reflected in police activity?
Well, like I said, Councilman, the current Samantha's has been closed since the beginning of November. So with the previous manager, under Samantha's title, we have not had any problems of that nature.
Okay.
I have met with the previous manager once to discuss a question that he had and that my patrol staff had regarding closing times and cleanup allotment time. We have worked that out, but he has since closed the establishment, so there has been no problems, as mentioned in that letter, with the previous management. Prior to that, I would agree with the majority of his concerns, yes.
Was that when it was named Samantha's, or was that when it was named F2?
And that could still occur and not be reflected in police activity, too. I would assume some of this could be...
Well, the names are pretty good about calling it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you never worked there when it was Samantha's previously?
Oh, no, I worked there for a couple months, but I can say working there, there's never been any issues, no fights. I can hardly say that it's any kind of nightclub scene in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I would serve families. There was little kids that came in there. They played pool. They were there till 10 o'clock at night with their father and their mother. That's just not a scene that I'm going to have there, and I would never have there. That's not what I want.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion seconded, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. What's the council's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Daffrey to approve. Second. Second by Mr. Bolster. Any discussion? All in favor?
Excuse me, before the vote, I'm assuming that your motion is to grant the licenses, the three, but not issue them pending the final approvals that the applicant needs to get from the Department of Health?
Yes. Correct.
We should have that shortly.
And as a further condition, that the entertainment will be limited to the entertainment as set forth in the previous entertainment license as set forth by the chief.
So should you want to amend your motion?
I'll amend my motion to that.
Okay, then.
A motion, I have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
P1 and P2 have already been voted on. Correspondence, letter from Lane Sparkman, Sense of Pride Coordinator, regarding funding for melissa-COY Sense of Pride, connecting kids to community programs. Come on down.
Well,
I'm Lane Sparkman. I'm the coordinator for the Sense of Pride program, and I actually don't know if you want me to describe the program. Some of you heard it, I think some of you didn't. So I can describe the program, or I can just answer questions. I don't know what your preference
I
is.
think a good 1-minute summary
Okay,
of the
1 minute.
program and what you're after ultimately?
Sure. A one-minute summary is that it's an educational program designed for fourth graders. It had existed in the town of Bristol for 9 years, and then last year we expanded the program to include the town of Warren, and this was at the kind of request of the school department because they tried and have, equal offerings at each, for all of the elementary schools in the Bristol-Warren School District. So the program is basically 4 parts. There's the program's goal is to teach kids about their town, what makes it interesting, what the history of the town is, about the architecture, to instill in them a sense of pride so that they think about taking care of it, down the road, not littering, not vandalizing, that kind of thing. And so the way we do that is by giving them an illustrated talk about the history of the town, an illustrated talk about the history of architecture and how it applies to buildings that they see in their town every day. So, the Romans invented the arch, and here's what an arch does today, that kind of thing. And then that all sort of leads into the walking tour, which is we bring the children into the downtown area and take them through a pretty extensive walking tour of the historic downtown, focusing on, some of the big civic buildings, but also some of the early colonial houses, etc. And then the last part of the program is a community service day where, with each school it's different. With Hugh Cole School last year, we actually worked with your Citizen of the Year, Melissa-Maya, in the Hugh Cole Giving Garden. And so she worked with them and planted seedlings to supply the food pantry later on in the summer. In addition, on the community service day, we work with Save Bristol Harbor and we present a watershed model, which is a great, actually, way of showing kids what the effects of pollution are in their area. So they take little sprinklers and sprinkle imaginary salt or imaginary fertilizer or imaginary whatever it is, and then they water it and they watch the pollution, drain down into the bay. So for waterfront communities like Bristol and Lake Warren, it's a really vivid kind of reenactment of what happened. In addition to the 4 specific activities, sorry, I should have handed these out before. I have to take them back. You can't have these because we're down to our literally last 5 of them. But, sort of as a backdrop to the talks.
You're asking for money and you're going to borrow these?
Well, this is how bad it is. We'll really more next year. We actually printed far more than we expected to use for Warren because it was the first year last year. But we wanted to make sure that, the art teacher had one and the librarian had one and the principal had one. So we've gone through, those are, I think, our last 5 copies of the book. But there'll be more.
Help you?
So we're asking for money. That's the summary. We are asking for money. Our request was for $1,500 and I was told that I should ask for it as part of the February budgeting process. Just so you have a sense of how this fits into our bigger picture, the town of Bristol gives Mosaico a lump sum every year that we distribute between the Sense of Pride program, which is this program, the mentoring program, which takes place at the middle school, and we also have a mentoring program at the high school. So we're sort of asking for Warren to join Bristol in supporting the program.
You're looking for $1,500 as a grant from the town?
Yes.
Are we limited to what we can give through the constant contingency and these sort of gifts?
I thought it was 150 or something.
I think there's a monetary number.
There's a limitation.
But she's asking us actually to put it in our budget for next year.
Yes, I guess if that's the soonest way that it can go. I mean, I don't actually know enough maybe about how your budgeting process works. My hope was to sort of start the ball rolling with this year, to fund this year's program at that level, at $1,500, and then ideally to sort of try and follow Bristol's model and have it be part of your annual budgeting process as long as the program is in place, which we expect it to be for,
Our budget
years.
process is upcoming, so we'd have to wait until that was through, which would be a month or 2.
That would be voted on in May at the financial town meeting.
But this isn't an individual.
I think what you ought to do is refer the matter over to the town manager so that he can set forth exactly what you can do in this fiscal year, both limitation-wise and also budgetary-wise, and also allow Ms. Sparkman to get a handle on the budgeting process here.
Okay.
I think it's appropriate if you refer it to the town manager.
Okay, I copied him on the letter, but I haven't spoken with him yet.
All right, so I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I have a question.
I have a question, too.
Give me a second.
That's premature.
Okay, that's fine.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Discussion.
How much is Bristol giving you?
Bristol gives us $6,500 for all of the programs, and then we kind of parcel it out as needed.
And that's the Bristol Town Council, or the town of Bristol, not the Bristol
Correct.
Warren School.
Correct, that's the town of Bristol.
I have a question for Carolyn. Is there any way to fit this in with CDGB funds? Does anything fall into any of those?
Well, it could be a CDBG request, because I could get $20,000 from CDBG for workforce development.
From Warren or combination of
We
this?
contribute money to Bristol, so this would have to be a different request.
Okay. Well, at least I know when we're getting into the budgeting, where we might be able to get some of that money from.
All in favor?
Aye. And this is really cool. We appreciate your
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Next is old business discussion and action regarding changes in the Economic Development Board. Mr. Solicitor?
Does everyone have a copy?
I do.
Yes. Thanks, Tom.
So that it was on today's file.
I'm sorry. What?
Old business one?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a couple of things about it. Right in the first paragraph under membership, it says initial appointees shall have the following terms. 4 shall be appointed for 3-year terms. 2, with the number 3 in the parentheses, that, I believe that should be a 3 spelled out. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Shall be appointed for 2-year terms, and 2 shall be appointed for 1-year terms, so that'll be a total of 9. The other point I'd like to make is that in that first paragraph about membership, there was I believe it was just a sentence that we would like to see as much diversity on the board as possible. Has that been removed for any particular reason, or is that, should we keep that in there? We got away from all of the categories and labels and such, but there was a sentence.
The diversity wasn't for membership on the board. It was diversity in the tax base.
No, it was for membership, because we had categories like, various types of people that the town wanted to see on the board, and we eliminated those and substituted all of that with just a simple statement that we would seek as much diversity in the membership.
Yeah, I'm looking at the old resolution. I don't see that language.
I think that
We
was
didn't.
a recommendation from the EDB.
It was a recommendation
Which you might not have.
to replace all of that language about the various categories. So it was just a summary that we should at least seek a diverse membership on that board. Is that something the council would like to see? I don't know. And then the other, just the last small point was in the last paragraph under procedure, where it talks about members shall be given at least 5 days' notice in advance of any meeting. That seems long.
I took that out of the prior resolution.
Oh, okay.
I had assumed that was something that the members would want. It's not a legal requirement.
I mean, typically it's 48 hours, right, or something to that effect?
It is, but that was in the old resolution. You can remove
Okay.
it. I thought that was...
Or amend it to two days, or whatever the council wishes.
Well, if you take a look at the prior sentence, all meetings shall conform to the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, that would be the 48 hours notice.
Okay. So we could eliminate that phrase if the council wishes.
Kathy, any comment?
No.
Scott?
No. Yes.
Sure. In the last, or the original ordinance or
Resolution.
thank you, Davidson. Sorry, it's been a long day. There was ex officio members that were included in that. Is it council's intention to remove those ex officio members?
I don't think so.
I've got to tell you that from a legal standpoint, I recommend that you don't have those ex officio members on this board. I think the board should be able to operate on its own without having those types of members. And I have a concern on structural legal basis.
Is that because they're paid employees?
Yeah, you're mixing it in, and I think it takes this board beyond what it is. If you want to have these volunteers come in and do this, I'm not so sure it's appropriate under your charter to have ex officio members on the board.
That's fine, I just wanted to seek clarification on that point. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say that what you see in front of you, the main intent of all this was to up the membership. But there were just some parts of the old resolution that concerned me from a legal basis, particularly in reading the charter. The only other one is, I did eliminate the press inquiries one.
Yes.
That creates a little bit of a First Amendment issue. But particularly Article 1C, on the old resolution, I felt ran afoul of the case of Monroe versus the town of East Greenwich. There's some functions in here that are set aside by statute for the planning board, and the Supreme Court has basically said that if the planning board has statutory powers, you can't give those powers over to other governmental entities. So I don't think it affects what the Economic Development Board does. My concern was later on, if the Economic Development Board were involved in an economic development project where there was opposition, that opponents could use the Monroe case to effectively tie up the project on a procedural basis.
Any comment from the public?
Thank you, Tony.
Spencer?
Spencer Morris, 18 Cole Street. I'm a member of the Economic Development Board, and I, just pursuant to the last question, I was just wondering if the Economic Development Board needs to or wants to seek advice from the administration, the town administration, would that advice have to come through the council in order to obviate your concerns? Do you follow what I'm saying? In other words, if we need testimony from town administration on an issue, would that be problematic from your point of view?
No.
Okay, thank you.
But that's different than having the ex officio member. I think that's actually more appropriate, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody from the council?
I'm all set. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution with the following changes. Under the first paragraph under membership, that the word "to" be changed to "3", that there be a sentence added that the town shall seek diversity on the board, or such similar language. And in the last paragraph under procedure, that we eliminate the last phrase of that sentence.
I have a motion from Mr. Bolster. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Lyle. Any further discussion?
Personally, I don't see the need for the sentence to be added in. I think the way this sets it up, it kind of pulls diversity whether you would want it or not. But that's up to the majority.
I don't think it's pressing either.
No.
Whether it's in or out.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Discussion and action regarding Liberty Street School. Last week, we had a workshop that was fruitful. Got a lot of information from the public, particularly in the surrounding neighborhood. I don't want to necessarily open up that discussion back again. We're simply looking to take some action relative to what we had heard and digested from that particular meeting. If the council would like to express any criticism or input, certainly.
I think a lot of good conversation was had, and at the very least, we need to take into consideration all the ramifications of moving forward in any direction, whether it's changing or staying the same, because these are tough times.
The one thing that I took away from that particular meeting is the neighborhood certainly wants to maintain the footprint of the building. I don't think they're necessarily opposed to residential, they're not opposed to mixed use, they're not opposed to commercial. It's a sprawling building that goes beyond the actual footprint that seems to be that particular neighborhood's problem. However, there is a financial aspect that we need to look at. $250,000 in this particular time is nothing to sneeze at, but we do have to look at a long-term overall goal, which I think is important. Budgeting is going to be extraordinarily difficult, and we are not in a position where we can make a financial mistake. But hearing the neighborhood loudly and clearly, in my personal opinion, maybe we do need to change and look at things from a different angle. I don't think it's going to hurt if we go back out and look. But it's risky. And if the council tends to go in that direction, we have to understand that there is some economic risk that we're about to undertake, but maybe the payoff will be much larger and much more valuable in the long run. So that's my 2 cents. David?
I'd like to reiterate only that last point, that there is a risk involved in sort of biting off the hand that is potentially feeding you. But all things must be weighed.
We know that the amount of money we're going to get the building, it's going to take us to fix that same amount. Davidson?
Just a couple of points. I concur with everything that you've already said. I should let you know, I don't know if any of you are aware, that our council president did speak with the developer who had agreed to take on this project, and he is not willing to do this project for anything less than 16 units. So, for all intents and purposes, he is not, interested in working on anything less than that. Just one other funny little ironic coincidence. Lane Sparkman was just here, and she handed us these books of Our Sense of Pride in Warren. And about halfway through the book is an image called Learning About Warren, and it's a drawing of the Liberty Street School bell by Henry Cady in 1887. And I don't know if the bell is still in the bell tower of the school. I know the bell tower itself is in grave disrepair, but I think it's just a symbol of how we really need to take this seriously and cautiously. And I think, as I've said before, had we been a little bit more diligent about the process in the first place, maybe we wouldn't have to be revisiting this. But I wholeheartedly support going out and really giving the trees a good shake to find people who are willing to pay the town some money for the property, work with the neighborhood, and obviously also, create a successful development for themselves as well. So that's how I feel.
Kathy?
Actually, Chris and I are the only two that were on the council when we spoke with Mr. Brito and got to vote on whether or not to move forward in discussions with him. So I feel a little bit obligated, because we did vote in that way, to continue to give him an opportunity. And again, like Scott says, the bite in the hand that may end up feeding us. However, it was made abundantly clear at the meeting that we held that the footprint be held, which I think is an exceptionally good idea. So I would suggest that possibly we go back to Mr. Brito and suggest that the footprint stay the same, and if he's not interested, then we know where we can go from there. But at least we are continuing to discuss, as we promised him that we would. So that's just my suggestion.
My only concern would be that, can you cram 16 units into the existing footprint without it being a lot less than...
Well, he's got a lot of the historic stuff to deal with, so
I'm just thinking logistically. 16 units is what he's been quoted as saying quite recently, and the square footage of the building it's not going to come anywhere near his original assessment that he could do one-bedroom luxury. They're just not big enough. I think, you need to do 4 units to have them be luxury in that building, in reality. So I don't see how that would jive. That'd be my concern.
Then he can say no.
Additional comment? Sure, Brett, come on down. Keep it very brief.
Sure. Brian Heggert, 26 State Street. I'm concerned about going back to Mr. Brito because you're delaying the process, and that's something we don't want to do. As it is, if we go back out, it's time. So I think you should make a decision going forward.
Mr. Aston?
That is really an exceptional building. It's a historic piece in Warren. It's a historic piece in the state. And I know everyone here wants to keep the exterior of the building the way it is. The interior, I don't think we're concerned about, because I wouldn't want anybody to come in and tell me how to do the interior of my house. The exterior, yes, if it's in a historic area. But as far as how the interior is done, that's up to a developer and whatever he can do with it. The footprint that is there, I think, is mandatory in order to keep the consistency in the area being such a densely populated area. You don't want tractor-trailer trucks going in there and things of that sort. It's just not, it can't hold that type of traffic. So I would suggest going out and RFP, whatever it is that you're going to be using, and see if you can get someone that would work within the existing building and come up with various ideas, either all residential or partially residential and offices on the ground floor, as was suggested at that meeting the other night, which would probably be ideal over there, as long as it's not a highly trafficked area. If it's doctor's office or a dentist or something of that sort, would probably go. You don't want retail there because that would be too traffic intensive. So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you. What's the council's pleasure?
I make a motion to re-advertise the sale or lease of the Liberty Street School with a new RFP that includes input from the Economic Development Board and the town planner.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second by Mr. Lyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. Motion carries. MB1, new business, letter from David A. Silvera regarding intersection of Schoolhouse Road and Serpentine Road and Metacom Avenue sidewalks.
Is John here? John Massett?
No, John is home resting because he's
got a long night.
having a rather busy evening.
Oh, sure.
The police chief looked into this, or had the department look into this, and also met or spoke with the highway people from the state, because this is a combination of a local road and a state road. Essentially, the chief has recommended Sylvia's suggestion of moving the line forward, and the state agrees also with this. This would be a positive thing. The sign, on the other hand, they cannot move forward because it would not comport with the state's regulations about visibility of the sign. As an aside, they did run an accident, and enforcement log on the intersection. There's been one accident reported at the intersection per se in recent years, and I think 3 traffic citations. But as soon as the weather permits, why Mr. Massett will move the line forward as far as he can. It cannot be closer than 4 feet to the edge of the state road, but he'll get it up there as far as he can. The sign, as I say, will have to stay there. Both the state and the chief say that there is no need for additional signage, that the stop sign will
Suffice.
suffice. And now that you can go up to the point where you can see the intersection, that should be sufficient. With regard to the sidewalks on Medicom, Mr. Massett can tell it better than I can, but he has an old-fashioned sidewalk plow with tractor wheels, which would probably do the job, except that it would also tear up the sidewalks such as they are. The equipment that he has, he's fighting a losing battle on 2 respects. One, because the snow coming off the highway onto the sidewalks, and 2, and this becomes an enforcement problem, and we discussed how we might do some enforcement, and that is the property owner, adjacent property owner, placing the snow on the sidewalk. So it's coming from both sides and creating a situation that, very honestly, by the time he gets to it, the equipment cannot penetrate it. Or it just, the bulk of it is too much even for the little Bobcat to do it. But he's willing to look, as much as he can do, but really the state should be the state's problem.
Tony, is there anything we need to do as a board, legally?
Well, I think you should vote to accept the letter and place it in your records.
The state doesn't put that burden directly on the property owner?
Actually,
like the town does?
Can I jump ahead on this? There is a case named Child versus Green from 1928, which involves a slip and fall accident in the town of Warren on Main Street. And in that case, the Supreme Court said that maintenance of sidewalks adjacent to state roads is the responsibility of the local municipality. Now, there's been subsequent cases that indicate if the state enters into some type of agreement with the local community to maintain those sidewalks, as they've done down in Newport for America's Cup Way, then that's a different story. There's also a legal doctrine called the Knudsen Doctrine, that if the state fixes a sidewalk, but it's in a defective manner, then the responsibility goes from the town to the state. So I think as a general matter, that responsibility rests with the town.
So if the sidewalk's in disrepair, the burden's on the state. If the sidewalk's in good shape, it's the municipality that's to handle the sidewalk cleaning.
Well, actually, I mean, I can talk to you for hours about the law of slip and falls on sidewalks for municipal on state highways. That, like for instance, on Main Street. But even if a sidewalk is in disrepair and there's a lawsuit, the plaintiff will go after the town. And after the sidewalk is installed, it's really the responsibility of the municipality to maintain not only the snow and ice, but also for ordinary maintenance, which I think is very unfair because it's owned by the state, but there's this case law out there. Towns, including Warren, have attempted to shift out the burden and liability for that by requiring adjacent landowners to share in the maintenance, including snow and ice removal, to kind of offset that a little bit. But it's not a situation where you can look to the state.
Okay.
Unless there's some certain circumstances, as I just adverted to.
Okay. Do I need a motion? Make a motion to accept the letter
Second. From Mr. Bolster, second. From Mr. Lyle, any discussion? Come on down.
I don't know if he's not going to be able to get to the mic.
We can move it for him.
Yeah,
Can we?
can somebody move it?
David, can you move the mic or I'll do it?
Yeah, but it's to go on tape, David.
Right there.
Actually, before you start, I wanted to say thank you because obviously, you know, I live not too far from there and I try and get out of Serpentine Road onto Schoolhouse Road on a daily basis, and it has been extremely difficult if you stay anywhere near the stop line. But then the other problem is when they're coming from the Swansea area, they get really angry when you pull out too far to try and see and not get killed, so I appreciate it.
Very bad intersection.
Usually because they're going too fast.
Yeah, well, absolutely, but...
My question is going to be about the legality of plowing the sidewalks. And going through the town ordinances, I see we have an ordinance in town that all property owners are supposed to maintain the front of their walks. I disagree with that. The simple reason is my grandmother lives on 92 Child Street. I don't expect her to get out there and shovel the sidewalk. That's what we pay taxes for. So that ordinance, I think, should be changed. It shouldn't, the responsibility should not be on the property owner, but it should be with the town. The town of Bristol has a little machine I can remember as a kid. They used to come out and plow the common, all the way around the common, all the way around the schools. It had a V plow on it, it had wheels, and that's what they did the sidewalks with. Okay? Now, we can sit here and talk for hours about that. Legality, you just heard the solicitor talk about it. That's what I'm here tonight for, legality. 5 years ago, I was struck on Child Street. My wheelchair was crushed by a hit-and-run driver, okay? I tried to get the town to do something, couldn't get anything done, all right? We essentially had new sidewalks put in on Child Street, nice sidewalks. This thing purrs like a Cadillac going down it. I went to Tom's tonight to get a few groceries because I'm going to be stuck in the house the next few days. And from Cutler Street all the way up to the bike path is loaded with 12 inches of snow and ice, just as it was 5 years ago. I had to go out on Child Street to get up to come to Railroad Avenue. Now, forget about Medicum Avenue. I take my life into my hands every day trying to go to the store. All right? Burger King parking lot, I don't know who they have for a plow driver. He's got an entire parking lot to push the snow. What does he do? He dumps it out on top of the sidewalk, right? Piles like this on top of the sidewalk right now. The same thing with the doctor's office and CVS. You know, if I got to go to the store, I have to go out onto Medicum Avenue, which I am now liable because I'm not supposed to be there. Okay? This was on Channel 10's website this morning. I emailed it to a couple of you. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. 87-year-old man in his wheelchair got whacked in New Bedford. That's the remnants of his wheelchair. That's going to be me. And as I said in my email, if there's such a thing as afterlife, I'm going to be your worst nightmare. All right? Something's got to be done here. All right? If you don't want to plow the sidewalks, then I will call a taxi cab when I need to go to the store, and I'll send you the bill. I mean, you know, I got a right to get out and go shopping. And this thing, I can't be on the road because I'll get killed. So, you know, what are we going to do? We're going to keep talking about it? I got a loud voice, all right? I hate to see what it would sound like if there is an afterlife.
Okay,
The halls of this justice will echo.
I appreciate it. Actually, can I just follow up on one thing that the gentleman said, particularly in relation to the commercial property owners on Medicom Avenue? I do have experience with ordinances that deal with exactly what he said, because, you know, there's options to that should not be used to block public ways. And in fact, I can suggest some language for you to alleviate that particular situation.
Would you like them to be cleaning their...
No, it just tells them what they can't do.
You can't tell them what to do.
Basically what you can do is you can pass an ordinance, particularly based in those commercial areas that would prohibit commercial property owners from plowing in such a manner as to inhibit the use of public ways, including sidewalks. And in fact, other communities have addressed this situation, so it's not, I'm not going to be inventing language for this. This is a situation that has come up in other communities, not just Warren, and there is some things that you can do for that.
So can we direct you to...
Yeah, I'll do it.
I mean, you can see clearly,
My question is whose responsibility is it for the enforcement?
that was my question too. Ultimately, your concern is, you think your taxes should pay for this, but ultimately they can't because the state's putting the burden on the town. Your taxes would go up if we had John plowing every sidewalk across the town to your request. But my concern is, how do we enforce, because some homeowners are doing a much better job than others with the maintenance of their sidewalks, how do we enforce that?
In the first instance, it'd be the town. That's
Police department or a building inspector? Who is going to enforce that?
In my opinion, on matters of this nature, it would ultimately be the police department.
More work.
Okay. Because we went through this last year, and, you know, as I could not get down the sidewalk, I called the building inspector. He tells me to call the police department. We called the police department. They came out, they looked at it, said, I don't see nothing wrong here, and off they went, okay? And it took a couple of times, and we had to get things explained. And this is the second year in a row with Burger King. I mean, the guy just, I don't understand the reasoning. He's got an entire parking lot back there that he could push the snow up against the bushes, but he decides to dump it on top of the sidewalk.
All right, I think the quickest way to get some alleviation for your problem is to get us to direct him to put an ordinance together, and we'll start from there.
I mean, we're going to have a good dump in here tonight.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be home for 3 or 4 days.
In the meantime,
Need a bigger basket.
we'll urge John
I need
to
a bigger basket, yes.
clean those sidewalks in that particular area. All right, if I can get a motion from the council?
Make a motion, direct this solicitor to come up with some language for ordinances that will allow us to protect, to the best of our ability, the public rights of way. Does that work, Tony?
Yes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I have one tiny more discussion point. I'm not going to drag this on, but, you know, to his concern, some of these locations on Child Street may not have a place to put that snow. These houses are up on top of the road, and if they put it in the street, the state's going to come by and blow it right back onto the sidewalk. He's going to have nowhere to go.
This is why I say the town should plow, because you start at one end, and you just push the snow right up the sidewalk.
Just the...
All right? One other question I wanted to bring up. Back in the summer, I directed some comments to our town manager that never got a response. One of them was the guardrail.
This is starting to get out of the realm of...
Excuse me, but Open Meetings Act, which I'm going to be addressing later. This is not on the agenda. It'd be a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah, I'm sorry then. All right.
We thank you, certainly, and...
At least if we can get the sidewalks cleared out. Thank you.
No backup alarm?
MB3, discussion and action regarding updating town ordinance/code regarding the town meeting procedures and practices.
NB2.
Oh, we skipped it, okay. MB2, letter from Ann, hopefully I pronounced this right. Bartoszek, regarding the Bristol Warren Educational Foundation. I didn't mean to skip you.
She wouldn't let you.
Good evening. My name is Ann Bartoszek. Can you all hear me? And as of this school year, I'm a new board member for the Bristol Warren Education Foundation, which was formerly the Kickamuit Education Foundation, KEF. So we made it more complicated to ourselves. Now we're BWEF. I think that most of you are familiar with the mission of the Education Foundation. Our hope is to create the best possible schools in the Bristol Warren School District. And we do that by raising money and then giving money to teachers and school staff people who have to actively apply for grants, and then their goal is to provide enrichment or really enhancing programs that add to the existing curriculum. We do not fund things that would be funded by the school department, for example. We have, in the last 3 years, the board was founded in 2007, and over 3 years, we've given away $49,000 in grants. And I'm happy to say that a little part of that went to Melissa Maya, to the UCole Community Garden. And in addition to science projects like that, there are math programs, even a personal finance program at the high school level. And we have funded programs in every school in the district. In order to continue, we obviously need support from our communities. As we've given out more and more grant funding, we've had more and more requests, so we're trying really hard to keep up with that. So one of my purposes of being here is really to try and make BWEF in the hope that we are better known both in Bristol and Warren. I'm from Warren, so I have an extra little goal in mind. I think since the inception of the Education Foundation, Warren has been relatively underrepresented, not because they haven't tried, but because they haven't had a hard time getting Warren board members. There are a couple of us new this year, myself and also Andy Arruda, who are in a position to be doing the work of the board, but to also be doing a little bit more outreach in Warren. And this sort of brings me to how we're working up toward our biggest fundraiser of the year, which is our annual spelling bee for adults called the Bodacious Bee. And I do believe I'm in the presence of a couple of Warren Stingers from last year. So in any case, yes, there were a few board members last year who came out and competed. This year is the third annual Bodacious Bee, and we hope to make it an even bigger event. And part of my goal is to use the bee, it's a two-way street, to use the bee to be a little bit more known in Warren, to get more Warrenites really engaged in both the board and a fun evening out with their families, their friends, and hopefully some spellers. I don't know if we'll maybe get a second team. I think, Scott, you might consider. I hear you're a good speller, so the gauntlet is down. In any case, this year the bee will be held at Roger Williams University, and so we're in the field house, and we have really unlimited capacity, so we hope to really grow the event in terms of raising money, and also just in terms of having people come, have fun, learn more about us, and of course, help the school system become even better as we can support it.
Do you have a date for
We do. It's March 18th, Friday night, right after St. Patrick's Day, and in fact, I have some information. You can pass those down. I hope that pretty soon, actually starting this week, you'll see our Bodacious Bee herself plastered around town. The way we're upping the ante this year, some of the materials that will be out in terms of PR, I think are going to be quite a bit more than last year and years past. But we've also tried to turn the event into more of a night out. In the past, it's been really the spelling bee, and the food part has been on the side. Now there'll be a full meal catered by Leo's Ristorante in Bristol. We'll have some live mini auctions over the course of the night, a raffle that will extend into the whole community starting about a month beforehand, and some other surprises to get people to come and really enjoy themselves. As far as the town council, I hope that we see another Warren Stingers team, at least one. But I really, coming from Warren and having this goal of making the Education Foundation, and as well as the Bee, more prominent in the Warren community, I would love it if you all, as prominent community members, could really help spread the word. It's a great organization run by all volunteers, all of us, and we've really accomplished a lot in the short time that the foundation has been in existence, and we hope to really do that much more. So please come to the Bee, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. Consider in your non-town council lives as well, consider supporting the foundation. There are lots of different opportunities for sponsorship. And please help us spread the word and get more Warrenites down there. I want the town to be engaged in the foundation's goals, as well as wanting the foundation to continue to be engaged here in Warren. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
MB3, discussion action regarding updating town ordinances and code regarding council meeting procedure and practices. This is simply a housekeeping item. If you look at the charter and you look at the town ordinances, they don't match. By charter, we begin at 7. By ordinance, we begin at 7:30. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, typically. The ordinance says we're supposed to begin with a prayer. I'm not sure that would pass constitutional muster anymore. It hasn't been touched, I believe, since '67.
Yes.
So, gonna need a motion for the solicitor to go ahead and compile some changes and make some recommendations.
Can I speak for a moment?
Sure.
A few years ago, when I went down from the assessor back into the clerk's office, I got a price from the company that writes our town code because it is involved there, and I think it was about $3,000. They said that they would take the two, item by item, and then they would give me a list of what is in conflict, and then the council could decide which way they wanted to go.
Save the 3. I'll do it myself.
Oh, okay.
By the way, under the ordinance, your meeting is supposed to start after the prayer.
Yep.
The next order of business is supposed to be for the town clerk to read the minutes from the previous meeting.
Yeah, we should take that out.
So, from beginning to end? From beginning to end. So it'd be nice, but
Does it
I
still
don't.
have an 11 o'clock
Curfew?
curtain call?
No.
Yeah, it does.
No.
But I actually don't mind because I've taken a look at both, and I can give you some proposals on that.
Great.
I make a motion that the solicitor
Got a second?
compile a list.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Town manager. Number 1, discussion action regarding the Wealth Management Corporation trustee request for proposal issued November 2010 for the town's trust funds currently under management with Slocum and Gordon. Mr. Manager.
All right, last year we had some discussion regarding how our trust funds are managed, and specifically with regard to what it was costing us. And it cost us in 2 ways. One, in fees, very simply, and the other in the success or, in recent years, failure of the investments that were made, particularly those that were made into equities. We did go out and we got bids, and basically the bidders' fee schedule wasn't significantly different from what we are currently paying. For the amount of money that we have in trust, it seems to me and to the finance director to be wasteful to be paying somebody to churn it generally. And it would be our recommendation, and the auditors concurred in this when it was discussed, to take the money and invest it into a secure investment such as a federal home loan note or a T-bill. And while this may not produce the highest interest or the highest return, it will produce a secure, and we will not be eating away at the principal of this trust, both in the $10,000 to $12,000 a year in fees that were being paid and would be paid if we went to another wealth management organization, plus the insecurity of what happens. Now, we could, I grant you, we could direct the fund manager to stop investing in basic equities and put it into more secure instruments, but we can do that ourselves. It is subject to the annual audit, so it will have, there will be a check and balance on what we do with it, and that won't be much other than invest it and, watch it grow. So that's our recommendation, would be to remove it from current management and invest it into a secure federal or state paper.
If we were to stay with the same practice and just invest it more securely, we're still kind of responsible for the fees, correct?
Responsible for what?
The fees, there's still going to be large fees if we stay with
Yeah,
this
if we
firm.
stay with a management company, absolutely. That's their reason to exist.
So basically, we're paying them to do something that we can do because the amount of money is not so significantly large that we're able to, we're actually eating away at the principal with our fees.
We are, and
if
it took over the recent past, took a fairly substantial hit in the principal because the investments, especially those that were in common stocks, declined significantly. And you want to say something?
No.
Okay.
Might have to do it.
Huh?
Might have to.
Well, you did move to the
No, I
front row.
just wanted to stay there in case something came up.
Council, have any questions?
So you concur with this?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, I do. I'm actually the one that brought it to the manager, the
Okay.
recommendation. The trust funds are passively managed, meaning that I have no input into what it is that we buy or sell, the frequency, whether it's an equity, a derivative, whatever the type of instrument may be. We knew that the fees are about 10 grand because that was going out of the portfolio on an annual basis. Going out to wealth managers, putting the RFP out, going out doing some due diligence, meeting with some of the wealth managers. In as much as they came back and said, well, we'll give you our best deal, they all came in pretty much the same, $10,000 to $12,000. The town does not contribute into those trust funds. If we liquidate, my recommendation is to liquidate, put them into a collateralized type of instrument, to what Mr. Paddock was referring to, and just let it grow. We periodically draw down from it to fund two positions. Given the volatility of the markets and where we are, it's the best way to maintain the existing capital. To put it in perspective, in the 3 years I've been here, I've seen the trust funds decline $300,000 in value. That's 3 years. That's a third. So this is the best way to maintain the capital that we have.
What positions are the monies being used to fund?
The social services, Emery Roy, social services director, the part-time position, including her Social Security, everything, FICA, Medicare, those type of things, as well as the senior center position. The senior center, that money is also used to offset the cost of her retirement contribution from the town, as well as her dental and health benefits. The town pays nothing towards those two positions. They're funded 100% out of those trust funds.
And you wouldn't be managing, you'd be actually liquidating in theory and allowing it to
That
just...
is correct. I will not be managing. I don't have time.
And nobody else would either, it'd be...
That's correct. All we would be doing is liquidating, sending a notice down to Slocum Gordon, our current investment managers, asking them to liquidate the position, send me a check payable to the town of Warren for the benefit of the town of Warren, and then using that money to purchase
Tino.
whatever we'd be getting. I did that with the OPEB investment money we have. It's collateralized with Fed Home Loan Bank. To the manager's point of the auditor's check and balance, the positions that they're currently the OPEB positions, I have the collateralized statements, and those are requested for by the auditors to prove that, in fact, that money is secure. It would be the same type of deal.
Tony, anything in the trust that would prevent us from doing it?
No.
In language?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chris. The way the trust funds, there's nothing in those trust funds that state how the funds are being managed, and that's the other issue, that the town in of itself does not have an investment policy. It's open-ended as to how the town's funds are invested. I mean, we do our best to make sure that they're invested in collateralized securities and the liquidity is maintained.
The $300,000 loss was a reflection of what?
The decline in the market value.
That's what I thought, okay. And how many years was that?
3, I've been here.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. Henceforth, my
Do you
recommendation...
need a motion to follow through with your recommendation? Motion to approve your recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion and action on invoice in the amount of $5,050 from Permaline Corporation of New England for signposts pursuant to council action on August 11th, 2009.
This is here for two reasons. The first was that the action that was taken at that time capped the expenditure at $5,000, so I would like your approval to spend the additional $50, and I would like you to reiterate that it be taken from the council contingency fund, because that was the direction at the time, and there was, ample money in the fund in '09. There is still ample money to cover this year, but it will reduce your contingency fund down to approximately $5,000. And obviously, yes, we owe the money. The material has been delivered. There's no question about that. In fact, the gentleman's been very patient waiting for this meeting so that I could get your approval on it.
Just so people know, these are for the parking signs that will go in the parking lots downtown that are owned by the town, behind the town hall, along Railroad Avenue, behind the Bank of America. So, and we will be hopefully ordering the signs that go with these posts shortly. That's the next point of
Wait a
discussion.
minute, we approved the signs. This is for the posts?
Well,
Who's going to pay for the signs?
if my memory serves me, the money was for the project.
The signs.
Well,
Signage.
which 50% of signage is the posts. We ordered.
But if the posts are already at 5, where's the money for the signs going to come from?
We don't know yet. What
we have
happened? Well,
posts and no signs.
there's something happened in the interim, which was that the price of the steel, the price of the post doubled. So originally it was going to be half for the posts and half for the signs, approximately, and then the price for the post doubled because of the cost of the steel. If my
Can we
memory
get aluminum?
serves me correct.
I don't know where we're going to come up. How much are the signs going to be now?
They're still the same price. They're about $2,000. So this is for.
So that's $2,050 over what we originally had intended, and somewhere we're going to have to come up with the other $2,000.
John Massad, well, I don't know if I should say it, but he felt optimistic that he could work something out. But we haven't gotten there yet, that I'm aware of.
Can we give the posts back?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Tough to control fluctuation in steel pricing.
Yeah, it was a shock to everybody that was working on it.
Also tough to find $2,000 for signs.
So, this is for all of the downtown lots. This was a reaction to, and I believe Chris was the one who initiated, if I'm not mistaken.
For signs, posts.
Well, signs need to be put on something.
Yeah, but I mean, we were thinking like they are right now. They're on things. They're on, I don't know. I just think that that's irresponsible. And when we agreed to $5,000 for signs, the whole thing, whatever you needed to put signs up, should have been included, or you cut down the number of signs. I mean, that's just irresponsible.
I'm on the assumption this is a standard signpost, feet, a little hole.
Yep.
And if we don't take delivery of the goods...
We already did, apparently.
We've already taken delivery of the goods. The goods have been on hand for probably 4 months, 5 months.
Several months.
The bill has been wandering.
I mean, obviously we have to pay the guy because he did it in good faith, but I have a problem with this whole situation. I'm not at all happy about it. I can't even imagine that. I mean, I just can't see running something this way. When you ask for $5,000 for signs, you know, and we take it out of a fund that does not have an endless, bottomless pit.
I would have naturally made the sign first and then
That's what I'm thinking.
found out how to put up either wooden posts or aluminum, steel. It's like we bought this amount of posts.
We're in the process of the price change. I mean, obviously, beforehand, it wasn't known that they were going to double in price, correct?
No, it was pretty much when they were delivered, or just before they were delivered.
We have a contract?
That also seems a little fishy.
Yeah.
I don't know, I wasn't involved.
You quoted $2,200 for poles,
that
and
part of it.
he comes with a bill for double that. There should be some recourse there, should there not?
I don't think so, but we didn't handle the transaction.
Who did, John?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah, this is weird.
I honestly don't know what to say at this point. I mean, I don't like to throw anybody under the bus, but that's a little extreme. I mean, I know it's only $5,000 in, well, actually, $2,050.
I would have expected that upon receipt, with the bill being double what it should have been, we would have said, whoa, you know, but this is supposed to be half of that. What happened, and we refused receipt at that point. Now we've received the goods, and we're going to accept poles that we can't afford signs for.
Written contract, anything? We just called up, ordered X amount of signposts? What was the actual minutia?
My understanding was that there was considerable discussion over time with regard to the signs and the sign posts and what kind of posts would best, you know, and they are standard in form, but not standard. They're not the same post that if we were going to go out and put out a stop sign tomorrow, that would be a less expensive post. The time factor enters into the steel price because of fluctuation, excuse me, over time.
I mean, the approval by the council was about a year before the receipt of the goods.
That's correct.
So in that period of time, it doubled. Shouldn't the council have been, I don't know, I guess we are between a rock and a hard place.
We are. I mean, I guess we have to make a motion to approve it because the guys supplied them, but don't make the signs until you figure out where it's coming from, because the agreement was out of the council contingency fund for
Can I make a suggestion?
$5,000.
Can I make a suggestion? These things have been hanging around for 5 months.
No, don't do this to me. I promised the man that at the very least he would get paid. He has been very patient about this. And I don't mean to step on you, Tony, but I mean, he's got a quantum merit case here. We owe him the money. If there's a screw-up involved, it's on the town's side, so.
I would like to hear the solicitor has to say, though, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, Dick.
In a situation like this, I'd like to send out a letter on it. Just
That would be
to
my
find out
point.
exactly what happened, and if we're stuck, we're stuck, but let me give it the old college try.
There you go. Penny saved is a penny earned.
Council's pleasure?
At the very least. I make a motion, the solicitor give this the old college try,
Second.
and communicate with the vendor.
All in favor?
All right,
But I also want to make sure that the other signs are not ordered, because we
not.
don't have
they are not.
a place to buy those from yet, until somebody comes up and asks us again.
I would like to talk to John, too. I mean, obviously, he's got a full plate, and he's not here for a reason, but I would like to hear
Any opposed?
the details. No,
Motion carries.
not opposed.
Gonna have to do this.
You don't want to put this in
No.
writing.
Number 3, discussion and action on a letter from the town of Bristol requesting tax exemption on a plat 15A, lot 288, purchased by the town of Bristol for open space.
And I don't know if the solicitor will let me get this in, but it should also, we found out subsequently, include lot 287. These are two adjacent lots down on the southerly end of Maine that were part of a
land purchased by the town of Bristol. Most of the land is in Bristol, obviously. These 2 lots happen to be in Warren. They bought them for open space. They're asking to be exempt. And I would recommend that we treat them as we would have treated ourselves. And that is that, they are there for a governmental purpose. They'd be tax exempt.
We're not talking big dollars.
About $91 pre-penalty.
Motion to approve the exemption.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 4, discussion and authorization to contract with Information Management Corporation in the amount of $9,985 as the sole source of support services for software serving dispatch, records, and other Warren Police functions.
Basically, this is an annual contract. It's their software. Who else is going to maintain it? So it's basically the same contract every year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 5.
That does have a budget. That is
That was
part of the
announced, that, too.
budget line item, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not
Oh,
a
yes.
new, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Number 5, discussion and action regarding sale of 3 decommissioned police vehicles.
Yeah, these are going to put us over the top. I think, I hope you got them in your packets. They were $700, $150, $600. They were all, 2 of them didn't sell the last time we went out again, and the police chief will be happy to get rid of them.
Empty a few parking spaces. Not my signpost. Motion to approve.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing
I
none.
have heard these things are in excellent condition through the grapevine. Are we getting enough money for them, or?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anybody? Motion carries. 6, authorize executive closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 4246-5A2, collective bargaining litigation, and RIGL 4246-5A5, real property, 4246-5A1, personnel. Subject has been notified.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Do we need roll call?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Councilman Bolster?
Aye.
Vice President Stanley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Tatry?
Aye.
Councilman Lyle?
Aye.
All in favor? Motion carries. No opposition. Number 7, request the council to authorize council president to sign the preventive maintenance agreement for the loan movement system for the fire department.
Again, this is a regular annual event. This is for the exhaust systems in the fire stations.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
It's a budget item again?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Solicitor. 1, discussion and action regarding open meeting violation, decision/planning board.
I've been losing sleep at night. And I've been losing sleep at night because of 2 recent decisions that do not involve the town of Warren, that involve other communities, where the Department of Attorney General has cited prior violations by the community in assessing penalties, suggesting that the approach now by the Attorney General's Department for Open Meetings Act and Access to Public Record Act violations would be on a graduated basis, and the town's record, so to speak, will be looked at in terms of assessment of penalty, as opposed to what the actual violation is. And I say that because in one of the communities, the town's record since 2006 were 2 technical violations, 1 on the APRA, 2 on the APRA, and one was in 2006, and the other one was like in 2009. There was another 10-day miss. The person that had applied had sent in 5 requests. The town had answered within the 10 days, but said, "You've given us 5 requests. They're all the same. We're answering number 1." The Attorney General's Department determined that there were some differences in them and said that the others weren't responded to within the 10 days. Because this has been a violation, it jumped things up. And I only bring that to your attention now for 2 reasons. Number one, Julie was kind enough to hand me something that was received in the clerk's office from the Department of Attorney General, basically stating, it's entitled, it's from the Attorney General's Department, your rights under the Open Meetings Act and the Access to Public Records Act. Brief statements as to what the Open Meetings Act and the Access to Public Records Act stand for. Final paragraph being, if you believe that your rights under the Open Meetings Act or the Access to Public Records Act have been violated, you have the right to file a written complaint with the Attorney General, and your complaint will be investigated. To learn more about your rights, visit the Attorney General's website and follow the links, Our Office, Civil Division, and Open Government. This is all good government stuff, but it behooves the town, our town here in Warren, to make sure that we're in strict compliance with the Open Meetings Act and the Access to Public Records Act. And I wanted to start the year off by bringing that to your attention, because I think you can expect, and I've been told this by personnel, that with a new administration coming in with the Department of Attorney General, that you can expect vigorous enforcement of these 2 important statutes in the governance of what the town does when it conducts its business.
Tony, could you maybe briefly define some of the danger areas, like a walking forum? Because they're basically saying for planning, zoning, the council, we're not supposed to discuss town business together.
Yes, you know, that and I'll get into a second, because there was a recent decision from November 18, 2010, involving our own planning board. It's OM 10-26, and that had to do with a meeting where the allegation was that matters were discussed that were not properly posted. But there's some other things that you need to understand too. I'm saying this now because it's on TV. We have members here from other committees. At the end of it, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is to allow me to just send a memorandum out to all of your boards and commissions, just with a brief explanation of the law, and specifically, Chris, some of the areas that I found have been complained of. Just as a starting, you know, you can talk for hours on this. I was invited by the Attorney General's Department last August to participate in the Open Meetings Summit. They're doing 2 a year now, and it was an all-day seminar. There's a lot to discuss, but there's some things that you need to address. You mentioned walking forums. It's difficult in this age of electronic communications to hit the fine line on that. The Attorney General does not want public business by boards and commissions done through email. What's okay? For instance, tomorrow night, if there's any meetings, it's appropriate for the chair or a member to email the other members and say, well, we have a snowstorm, can we reschedule to next week? When's the availability? That's okay. It's not okay to say, look, we need to discuss this particular issue, and by the way, this is what I think about that particular issue. This is my position on it, and I'd like to know what your position is on it. Do we have support for this position? That's stuff that should be discussed in public, so that the public has an ability to see what's going on, as opposed to having it done that. That's known as a walking quorum. That would be where, say, the chair or president would say to one committee member, look, this is what we want to do. Are you in favor of it? Okay. The next one, this is what we want to do. Are you in favor of it? Now all of a sudden you've got it. Schedule it for the vote. and go from there. That's defined by the Attorney General as a walking quorum and something you can't do. The other thing is, and it was illustrated here tonight, it's so easy to get off the agenda at these types of meetings. This gentleman came in, he had a chance to speak, he wanted to discuss the sidewalks. Well, that was on the agenda. Then he wanted to talk about a guardrail. That's not on the agenda. And, you know, is it innocent? Yeah, it's innocent. He just, you know, he wants to know. He put an inquiry in. However, it's a violation. And it's a violation of the Open Meetings Act that the town can get clipped on. And as a matter of fact, on some of these complaints with other communities, particularly a neighboring community of yours, the Attorney General has actually fined members of the boards where there was the open meeting violation, mandated that they had to pay themselves, couldn't have the town compensate. Got to be careful on it. And as you pointed out, Councilman Boster pointed out earlier, the town relies very heavily on volunteers. It's difficult to ask a volunteer, you know, from a meeting to all of a sudden have to pay a fine. That's not a good thing, but it's something that you need to know about. In this particular instance, with the planning board, there were several allegations that were made. There was just one violation found, and that was that a matter that was not on the agenda was discussed under the administrative heading on the agenda. There was some open projects that were discussed. Was any action taken? No. It was just a discussion. No votes were taken. But the Attorney General found a violation there. That's something that you need to know. I've been told by some people that come to your meetings, they call me Jack in the Box because I'm always jumping up. That's why I'm worried about it. I'm concerned that we're going to see more of these technical violations coming in that the town will have to defend, and that there could be some monetary penalties down the road. And that's why I wanted this on the agenda. I think it's a good way to start the year off. One of the things I'd like to ask you ask me any questions you want. Unfortunately, I was involved in about a dozen open meetings and Access to Public Record Act cases last year. Not for this town. So I feel I can answer any questions you might have, but one of the things I'd ask you to do is just allow me to send out a memo. It would be the same memo for all of your boards and commissions. And you know, you have quite a few. Just to make sure that everybody knows and is cognizant of the Open Meetings Act. You know, I got some questions, some very good questions from Caroline today regarding the Medicom steering committee. And, you know, they're good questions, but one of the responses I gave to her was the Open Meetings Act is going to be very broadly interpreted, so that even advisory groups not even advisory to the council, they're advisory to a consultant. In my opinion, they're a public body. Meetings have to be posted, have to have an agenda, minutes, and everything else. You'll note in the EDB resolution that I advert to the fact that because it's a public body, and it is governed by the Open Meetings Act. That means all of the things in the Open Meetings Act have to be observed. It's very broad. Questions?
Thank you, Tony.
Are they going to be retroactively reviewing, Councilman? You're making it sound like the fervor with which they approach this process.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily, I'm not criticizing the Attorney General's Department. They really want to make a push for transparency in government, which is a good thing. What concerns me is, you know, there could be some innocent violations of it. You know, you're in the middle of a meeting, you got a great discussion going, and, you know, that reminds me of what we should do down the street over here. Well, it's a violation. And that's why I want to bring it to your all attention. I'm happy that at least the warnings have been given to us so that we can prepare and make sure that what we do adheres to a very strict and literal interpretation of the Open Meetings Act.
Andrew?
got Andy coming down.
Being a member of the planning board and seeing the sentence reading planning board in violation, both words in the same sentence, of course, bothers me. If I understand you correctly, Tony, what has transpired in the past, here on the council as well as the planning board, you cannot discuss things now that are not on the agenda, because previously you could discuss them as long as you didn't vote on them. And the town council does this consistently, as we also did. But now I'm understanding that this is not permitted anymore?
Well, what you can do is add items to the agenda for discussion purpose only. That's under 4246-3. But what you can't do is discuss matters that are not on the agenda and haven't been added to the agenda. And, in OM 10-26, I argued that. I said, look, all they did was it was a discussion, and that discussion was under your administrative agenda item. And, that was rejected by the Attorney General's Department. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what it is, and I think that's what you can expect in the future.
So if we, right at the beginning of the meeting, add something to the agenda,
yes,
then we can discuss it but not vote on it.
That's correct.
Okay. The other point I want to bring out...
Can I just jump ahead? So this is why we could talk, we could have an all-day seminar in this. If it's an emergency situation, if there was an emergency in town and the town council had to meet in less than 48 hours and it was something that had to be done, perhaps a sewer main break that required some immediate action, then you can invoke another part of the Open Meetings Act and say this is an emergency situation, and then you can take a vote on it. The school committee cannot add items even for discussion under the Open Meetings Act by motion at the beginning of the meeting. Why that is, I don't know, but it's in the act.
And the other point is that the town council hired an attorney to sit with the planning board and with the zoning board to basically keep us out of trouble, make sure that we followed the laws and everything was kosher. We were never told about this. Is this something new that he is unaware of?
Well, I'll discuss it with him so that at least he knows what my position is on this, and I will share with him. It's two recent cases came out that I found very jarring. I have to tell you that. To the point where I felt it was important for me to say this publicly and have a renewed effort for the Open Meetings Act. I'll make sure that Paul understands what my position is on this. Not my position, what the position of the Attorney General's Department is, and what I think should be happening at all boards and commissions.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Make a derogatory comment. I've attended those meetings for the planning board and zoning board. You are very fortunate to have good legal counsel, even though he's a jumping box. I don't think that he is. But at those other boards, it's more of a sleeping matter. There is no knowledge from that lawyer. He has no idea what's going on those meetings, and he doesn't seem to care. How can these people do the right thing if they're not getting good legal counsel like you are? I've been there and I've seen it, and that's a bad situation.
Spencer?
Just to follow up on Andy's question, so in order to add agenda items on the fly, if you will, they have to be added by motion at the beginning of the meeting?
For discussion purposes.
For discussion meetings, for discussion purposes only?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll give you the necessary citation in the memorandum.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else from the council? So you're looking for a motion to
send out a memorandum?
Yes.
I make a motion that the solicitor send out a memorandum to all boards.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Nope. None. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Can I just state, every year, the Attorney General's office runs 2 summits. There's one Thursday, and then there's one in August. It's always the same time of year. I send it out to all the boards and commissions and recommend that they all go at least to one. I have to go every year because things change, and Tony and I are like regulars. But they should all, including the council, should go at least once a year, if not every other year, so that you're aware of it. Because like Tony said, you can just make a statement, and you're in really hot water really quick.
Yeah, actually, 2 points on that. I can tell you they have excellent speakers at those
You're speaking this
seminars.
year?
You know it?
That's the first one. The second thing, too, is, just as a follow-up to what I said earlier, there's a famous open meetings case, the Bodo Fisher case, which says that you can always talk to your lawyer privately, even at meetings, and that's okay, which means that if you have a question on open meetings or whatever, you can send that to me. And you know what? If any board, I'll say this in the camera, any board has any questions about any issue on Open Meetings Act in the APRA, I prefer it if you would communicate with me on that. It's a lot easier to answer the email, as Carolyn just found out. It's a lot easier to do that than face the complaint afterwards.
It's true.
Just a quick comment, Mr. President. The seminars that Julie just brought up, they come up annually and in quite a few different ones, and they are very, very helpful to board members. However, you have many board members that have never attended any of these meetings. None of them, absolutely none. And that, I think, you should be looking into. There probably should be mandated that if they're going to serve on a board, then they do have to attend these seminars.
I would agree with that, and every year I've been on the council, placed a reminder about the ethics of the open meeting and encouraged to attend. Is that something that we should look, Tony, to do through an ordinance? Is it something that we should look to do through council policy? To make it mandatory that members of the board, at least on an annual basis, attend one of the sessions? Or
That
is it...
summit's an all-day summit, though, right? During the week? Is that correct?
The one Thursday is, I think, from 4 to 6. They're shorter summits. I don't think the ethics is involved in this one this week.
The August one's an all dayer.
I wouldn't even think it would have to be every year, but to confirm that everyone's been to at least one would be a priority.
Right.
At least the chair of the board.
I think even everybody,
Yeah, I
I think there's
remember.
a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
Give me a while to think on that. I'm going to be working on this other stuff.
In particular, anybody who's new to the board.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do it that, I'm of two minds if it should be by ordinance or resolution. Give me a chance to think on it.
All right.
Thank you.
Next, tax assessor, 2010 abatements in the amount of $4,253.90.
The explanation is attached. I think they're self-explanatory.
Council's pleasure.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Lyle. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Board of Tax Review, 2010 abatement, $1,179.53.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Town Clerk, resolution supporting legislation to increase number of voters per district to save the town $1,500 each election.
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I'll second it. And I
Please
just wanna-
discuss this a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to discuss it.
What are we approving?
The resolution that she wrote.
Yeah. Do we have any idea what the appropriate number would be
Well,
if we were to reduce? I mean, are we thinking
So you were simply reducing polling
That is,
places,
this,
correct?
actually, this legislation is being put forth by the Board of Elections. All the towns and cities are supporting it because we have some districts that are much smaller. Even when we had 75% of voters out for the last presidential election, we could have combined, we had no problem. In Warren, we're very proactive. I'd rather have too many people there working than have a problem that it's too late to bring people in because you have to have training on that. We would be able to probably eliminate 2 voting places, but I think that would be putting it a little too tight, so we would just go
One.
down 1. And
I'm assuming in South Warren where you have St. Mary's and...
we would take of the 5 we have, 1 has to stay because they're a separate rep district, so I can't touch that. We'll see what happens when they do the redistricting with the new census. But I would go down to 3, and it would actually, the ultimate decision as far as what we do once they support this would be the Board of Canvass for the town of Warren. They're the ones that make these decisions.
And the number of voters per district would go from about 1,500 each, as it is now, up to about 1,800 or so, correct? So it wouldn't be, hopefully, too much of an extra burden on the people looking in the
You have
polls.
volunteers.
Right, I would take 4 and bring it down to 3.
Sure, the other people who are willing to do this, you're reducing sites because there's many people still to do it, so you can have more people per site or more shifts.
Well, instead of having to have 6 at each, I have to have 6 by law. But I could have 8, and that still would eliminate. And then there are some districts that have less turnout. We could have just the 6 people there. So it gives me some leeway of where we can move the people and how many we need to have there, depending on what the turnout history is there.
So the Board of Canvass is determined whether it's 3 or 4 or whatever the number's going to be eventually. Okay. I second Kathy's motion. Already did.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Second resolution to support legislation for deed indexing and document formatting standards.
This, I don't know if everyone knows what the land evidence is, but that's your town's history. And those are the records that I am to make sure are taken care of. We get a lot of mortgages and deeds with people who've made copies of the description. You can't read it, get scanned in, and with all these foreclosures, sooner or later, the bank's not going to be able to foreclose because you can't read the description, and you can't foreclose on the description, you can't read. But it makes our records messy, and in 100 years, when somebody's trying to read that, I don't think it's fair to the town of Warren or the taxpayers or the property owners. We've gotten the title attorneys and the banking commission to work with us, and we put this forward last year. We testified before the House and the Senate committees, and we kind of got lost in the shuffle with the budget that they were working on. So we're going to try again, and we've got a little more push from the Banking Association because the title searchers, a lot of times they can't read what's in the records because they're just such a mess. What the documents they give us are not clear. The font is not large enough. There's handwriting all over it, so you can't tell what is old information and what is the new information. So we're just looking for the support of all of our councils, and hopefully we'll get this passed this year.
Motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Finally, number 3, approve and authorize the town council president to sign contract for multi-function copy machine.
We have a 5-year lease on a copy machine in my office. It's been up for a few months. I wasn't in a hurry to replace it because it's still running fairly well, but it's not a scanner and it's not a color copier. And in order to move forward with the clerk base to get the rest of the council records scanned in and online, I need the high-speed scanner. The low bidders that came in, they didn't meet the requirements of the bid specs. Recommending Big Business, that's the company that we've had. This is the first time in 20 years that after 3 years having a machine, I didn't want to throw it out the window for the last 2 years because it just collapsed on us. The Conoco Minolta has been fined for $1 where the town can own it, and either the police department or the highway department will be taking that machine. And we will be able to do in-house color copies at 4 cents a copy, so anybody that's got projects doesn't have to go out to copy anymore and pay to have them done. We will have it so that it has to be turned on, that feature has to be turned on by my office, so people can't just come and make color copies because they are more expensive than the black and white copies, but it should reduce the cost of a lot of projects also.
This is within your budget?
Oh,
Within the budget?
And it's only $9 a month more than it was 5 years ago. It's a high-speed scanner and color copy, and it will be internet, so that everyone in the town hall can print off of that machine if they want to.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Ms. Tatry?
Second.
A second from Mr. Bolster. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ayes have it. We have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?